And we are live. Okay, guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining with us on this fine Sunday evening, wherever you guys are, here with the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, and everything else you guys need to know ahead of what will be a very busy week for Manchester United. Of course, as we know, the international break is coming to an end tonight. That will definitely speed up transfers. We're hoping to see some big progress in terms of the takeover this week, but we do have some information to bring you guys, some of the latest news. So, as you guys can see from the thumbnail, as you guys can see from the title, it has been heavily rumoured today from Sam Bates, pretty reliable journalist, all things considered, that Manchester United would be willing to entertain the idea of a swap deal for Rasmus Hojlund. Now, we want Hojlund. This is well established that Manchester United are in for Rasmus Hojlund. Romano was confirmed at Ornstein, The Athletic, a lot of Italian sources, very, very credible journalists said that Erik Ten Hag wants Rasmus Hojlund. That is the plan for the striking position. In all honesty, that's probably where we are heading as a club. We have been set back because Atalanta are demanding 100 million euros. So, does this make sense to let Amad go on loan for a season back to Atalanta where it all started for him? I think it does. I genuinely think it does. I think, from my point of view, something I would like to see with Amad is him having enough game time next season. Game time, simply put, will improve a player, especially when they're young. It's the most important thing. You do not get better, you do not get that experience, you don't harness your skills, you will not improve as a player unless you get that game time. And I think with what United have in the wide areas, with Antony, with Sancho, with Garnacho on the other side, with Rashford, of course, as well, we have a lot of competition. It might be a good move for Amad to go play regular top-flight football at a club like Serie A and improve his development. And if it knocks some money off that price tag for Atalanta's point of view, it could be a good move. I think Amad is a very, very promising young player, someone I really do enjoy watching when he was at Sunderland next season. I want to see him continue to progress. I want to see him continue to develop. That's what we want to see. What we don't want is Amad to come back to United, stay next season, and only play 10, 15 matches. It will do him no good at this stage of his career to overall be playing under 21s football, to be on the bench every week. We want to see him get minutes, get some game time, and improve further as a player. And we have a first comment in from tonight as well. Satwan is down there saying Glazers out. Thank you very much for that, man. And of course, Glazer out, absolutely. I've been Glazer out from day one on the channel, and we always will be until they are gone. And even at that, we will continue to be anti-Glazer, and no matter what those guys want to do in their business moving forward. Hopefully they sell the club, hopefully very soon. I expect a big week, all things considered, on the takeover. I think when we left last week, in terms of the business days, the stock market being opened, we had a lot of developments. I'm hoping for some more this week. I don't think any sale will be agreed, but we might get a lot closer. We definitely will have big news to react to in terms of the takeover this week. So I'm asking you guys in the comments, because once the takeover has gone quiet this weekend, transfer news has picked up. So I'm asking you guys, who will be the first summer signing for Manchester United this season? So the options, of course, are Mason Mount, Rasmus Hojlund, Andre Onana, or another. If you guys think it will be another, let me know in the comments. Who do you think we will be signing first? I'm genuinely curious, because I want to see some movement on these transfers. You guys want to see some movement on the transfers. And thankfully, we're seeing some links. We're seeing some positive developments coming out, and some very interesting articles coming out as well. So Pletigo has come out with an article today, and he has said within that article, talks are ongoing for Mason Mount, and a move to Manchester United is the most likely scenario at this point. Erik Ten Hag wants Mount 100%. That's why I think Mount might be the first signing. We've already bid for Mason Mount. We offered £40 million. It was rejected. Manchester United are expected to go in with a second offer for Mason Mount in the coming days ahead of us. I think we'll probably go in 50 million. I think we will top out at around 55. I don't think we will offer any more money than 55 million. Any more than that, we're looking at being ripped off. I think we're being ripped off paying anything over 40 million, because this is a guy, he is a good player, but he only has a year left on his deal. So in all likelihood, his value should be around about 40 million. But any thoughts, guys, get them into the comments. Keep voting on the poll as well. Who will be Manchester United's first summer signing this season? A very important summer. We need to get the players right. So the options, of course, Mount, Hojlund, Andre Onana, or another player. If so, let me know who you guys think the other player might be. Is it a Declan Rice? Perhaps is it going to be a Gonzalo Ramos? Maybe we go in for Diogo Costa as a goalkeeper. Let me know what you guys think down below, as always. So, in terms of signings potentially coming in, we're talking Axel Diasi of Monaco. So, as you know, Kim Min Jae unfortunately does look to be going to Bayern Munich. It's unfortunate. He's a brilliant player. I think he's a really, really big upgrade on what we have, and he definitely would make us a lot better. But he is going to Bayern Munich from the looks of things. Unless Manchester United go in with a better offer before the 1st of July, Kim Min Jae will be a Bayern Munich player. So, Manchester United, we've been looking at alternatives. As always, we have a B list, we have a C list. We have about 5,000 players we are probably looking at, and about 10,000 players extra who the press will link us to. But Axel Diasi is a constant link. The Monaco defender, 25, I think he's quite good. I think I would prefer perhaps Clair Tobido, another player linked from the French league, but I do think he would be good. Who else have we got down there? Irfan is saying Axel Diasi or Kevin Danso at centre-back. Thank you very much. I think Diasi could be a brilliant option for Manchester United. Who else have we got in the comments? Satmont down there as well with the Glazers out. Thank you for that, man. Big T says Jordan Pickford too, if you believe some outlets. I'm choosing not to believe them, in the hope that it doesn't happen. I mean, and it might be controversial, but I genuinely don't think there's much of a difference in Jordan Pickford and Dean Henderson. I think if you're going to sell Dean Henderson for 25 million and buy Pickford for like 35, 40, that's a terrible bit of business. I'm sure you guys agree as well. Who else is down there? Ashade is saying, good evening, guys. Good evening to you guys as well. Wherever you guys are in the world, I am here live and direct for your guys' comments and with the latest Manchester United news. So any more thoughts, guys, get them in down below and keep voting on the poll. So a decent amount of transfer news is coming out. We always kind of get this on a Sunday. Now, I think it's Goldbridge on United Stand basically says the reason for this is because Sunday papers, Sunday media outlets have different journalists writing who have different sources. So I think it is interesting. We do see some different links on a Sunday, and one of those is Clair Tobido. Now, Fabrizio Romano is reporting this, of course, and he says Manchester United have sent their scouts to follow Clair Tobido, and they have been doing this for several months. So we will get that into the comments for you guys. I think Tobido is a really good defender, currently playing for Nice. I mean, that could be an interesting signing, and we will see what happens on that. Some people say it might be a Ratcliffe deal. I think he's a good player. I think we should maybe look at him regardless if we cannot get Kim Min Jae. Kim Min Jae has to be the #1 priority for me going into this summer transfer window. Looks like we've lost out on another first choice player. I mean, I'm sure you guys are sick of it as well. I am really fed up of missing out on Erik Ten Hag's first choice players. Harry Kane missed out on, of course. Now we've got Kim Min Jae. We'll probably have Victor Osimhen. We'll probably have other players as well. This will be a constant because Manchester United, we like to do this. We like to go for different targets, not because we're good at signing players, but because we go so long, they go elsewhere, and we have to pick out somebody else. So Sam Bates, of course, as well, when speaking, Manchester United want to add more goals into midfield. I think that's a good thing. And a player he has linked us with is Eze from Crystal Palace. I mean, that's an interesting link. I think Eze is a pretty talented player. I think he's a good player for Palace. He links up well with Elise in that team. Is Eze Manchester United level? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, he wouldn't be the worst signing, but what Crystal Palace would be demanding is probably upwards of £50 million. There is no value in going to Premier League clubs and asking for their players and expecting a good deal. It doesn't happen. Too much money involved in the Premier League. They do not have to sell to other teams in the league. I think you're always safer if you're looking value for money, like we are this summer, because we have a limited budget set by the Glazers. We need to look elsewhere. We need to look at the Italian leagues, the Portuguese leagues, the French league. We need to look elsewhere, get some better value so we can bring in more players. That's absolutely essential, and I'm sure you guys are agreeing as well. Irfan is saying Eze is very good. Yes, I think he is very good. Would be interesting to see where he fits in. Can play number 10, of course. He can operate out wide. We'll see what happens. Manchester United, I think, will move towards a 4-3-3 type system next year, so there would be a position for an attacking number 8. I don't know if Eze can play that role, but it would be interesting as well. Daz is saying Palace won't stop Eze. I don't know, man. I'm not too clued up on Crystal Palace transfers. I think he's a very important player for them. I don't know if they will sell him. I think if they do, we'd be looking at a lot of money. That's my personal opinion. And I don't know how much we have to spend. Depending on different outlets, we're talking different amounts. So another link we have today, Jacob Steinberg has reported. Now, this is a link I like. This is a player I like a lot and I would think would be a really good addition to Manchester United. And that is Romeo Lavia. Romeo Lavia, of course, Southampton player, has been relegated, does have that buyback clause for Manchester City next season. So if anybody wants to buy him, it's going to have to be this summer. He will have to move if somebody wants him to stop going back to Man City. So Jacob Steinberg says Manchester United are interested in signing Romeo Lavia. Arsenal, Liverpool and Chelsea also hold an interest in the player. Daz says, how much did Palace pay for him? I'm not sure. Did they get Eze from Reading or was that Elisa? I'm not 100% sure on that one. I think they paid probably around 10-15 million pounds. Something like that, I don't know. Lucky Sings down there says, sell Manchester United, Lavia and Kudus. Let's get them in. Thank you very much for that. I think Kudus, I think Lavia, you're talking to very good players. I would really enjoy seeing them at Manchester United. And Irfan is down there as well on the Mohamed Kudus hype train. I think Kudus would be brilliant for United. Very versatile, plays in a lot of different positions. Will be interesting to see what happens. Daz is saying QPR. Thank you, man. I knew they got Eze from one London club and they got Elise from Reading, so I wasn't sure where Eze had come from. So thank you very much for the clarification, man. Do appreciate it. So yes, other stuff coming out as well in terms of the transfers coming into Manchester United. Erik Ten Hag has been left fuming. This is coming from the Daily Mail, as the club's takeover saga has slowed the Declan Rice pursuit. Now, Rice was a Manchester United target. There's no doubt about that. Manchester United did want to sign him. It does look like he will be going to Arsenal. I don't think Declan Rice is worth 90 million, 100 million. I don't think he's worth that amount. He's just not that level. I mean, I don't think he's better than what Casemiro is at the moment. Casemiro, of course, costs around 70 million. I think Rice is probably a 60 million pound player, maybe 70. Considering his age, but I don't think he's 100 million pound plus. West Ham, by all accounts, want at least 120 million pounds for Declan Rice, and this comes back to something I've been saying for a long time. There is an English tax, and there is also a Premier League tax. Buying English players from the Premier League can be an expensive piece of business. Buying players from the Premier League as a whole can be an expensive piece of business because you have clubs there earning a lot of money just for being in the Premier League. They do not have to sell for anything less than what they deem to be a good amount for them. It's the same for a lot of other clubs as well, a lot of other players. I think if Mason Mount was playing for Borussia Dortmund and had a year left on his contract, he wouldn't be going for 50 million pounds plus. So the English tax definitely is a thing. Premier League tax definitely is a thing. I think limited budget, we need to look further ahead. We need to look at the Eredivisie, look at the Italian leagues. That's what I think we might have to do. Big T says, are you familiar with Wolfsburg's Jonas Wind? Young, strong, good in the air, can play centre forward and attacking midfield would be a perfect second option, I think. Thank you very much for that, man. Honestly, man, I'm not too familiar with him. I haven't really watched a lot of Bundesliga this season. I mostly watched Premier League and some of the Spanish League as well, and a little bit of Serie A. I did like watching Napoli. I haven't really been keeping up too much with the Bundesliga, but I did watch the last day of the season. That was mental, man. Absolutely crazy with Dortmund bottling the league to Bayern. But I will look into him for sure, man. Thank you very much for the tip. And yeah, I mean, if he can play attacking midfield, it can play centre forward, we're looking at a versatile player there. Maybe he could be a good option depending on the price, and if he's young as well, even better. I think 2 strikers is key this summer. I'm sure you guys are agreeing as well. We want to see at least 1 brought in, ideally 2. All the talk is United would like to sign a young striker and a more experienced striker. That seems to be what Erik Ten Hag had wanted. A lot of people before the window started, before the budget came out, were thinking, let's get Hojlund, let's get Harry Kane. That's obviously not going to happen because we would need 200 million pounds plus to buy both players. So maybe we do need to look further abroad. He else is down there. Daz is saying Qatar missed this transfer window because of the Glazers. Surely it takes millions off the deal. it's hurting us not getting the top available players. And Lucky is saying as well, Nicola Barella, Manchester United, good option. Yeah, I think he would be. And Ashid says Declan Rice, £70 million player. I think that's a fair value. I don't think 120 is fair whatsoever. I think when you have players going for that amount of money, where clubs are demanding ridiculous transfer fees, the only option for players at those clubs is to not sign long-term deals, and what they will do is run their contract down and leave for free. That's what I think will happen with Harry Kane. That's what I think could happen with Mason Mount if he doesn't go this transfer window, and Manchester United know that. So obviously I would expect that to change. I think that could be the next change we see within the Premier League. So guys, some more stuff to bring you. Of course, we're going to have a look at the takeover now. So some small details coming out from the Times. The Times are reporting it is unlikely that either Sheikh Jassim or Jim Ratcliffe will be installed before the new season starts on the 11th of August. We kind of knew this already. We did sort of suspect this. We thought it was a worst case scenario. It's basically turned out to be true that it will happen. That is how it's going to go down. We will not have any new ownership this transfer window. It's too late at this point in time for it to have any meaningful effect. Our budget will have been assigned. We will know what we have to spend. We, of course, can raise that with player sales. But it would have been nice to have had the new ownership in for the new season starting, in my opinion. Now, another point on the takeover that has come out today as well is according to the Daily Mirror, and that is Sheikh Jassim would like to facilitate Ole Gunnar Solskjaer returning to Manchester United should he become the owner. Solskjaer has hinted in the past that he would love a return to Manchester United in some capacity. So guys, what do you think of that? Would you have Ole Gunnar Solskjaer back at the club? I'm assuming that's probably in some sort of ambassadorial role, something like that. I don't think Ollie would be the guy to come in as a director of football, come in as any sort of executive. He doesn't have the experience for it. And I think we need top level executives, directors of football, stuff like that. But I think I'm pretty much game for any Manchester United legend or ex-player to come back as an ambassador or whatever. Like, it really doesn't impact the running of the club too much. Lucky Singh says Sheikh Jassim has entered the exclusivity period. I think we will get an update on that this week. Do expect news to break probably early next week, maybe Monday, Tuesday. Something will definitely be going down. I think a very quiet weekend after a busy end of last week. I think something will go down in the next couple of days, be it Radcliffe coming back with another bid, be it Sheikh Jassim getting the exclusivity period that he's looking for. I am expecting some sort of update this week regarding all of that, and hopefully we can get closer and closer to the resolution of this. We've been waiting a very long time for this as Manchester United fans. We have been waiting so long to have this takeover done, and I'm hoping that it will happen this week in some regard, some sort of progress. Last week was good for progress. Let's keep the momentum going. Let's keep the ball rolling. Let's get this takeover done and a new owner in sooner rather than later. That's what I want to see. I think what, and I said it last night, we could do what Newcastle did. Whenever Newcastle were bought by the Saudis, it took a long time for the deal to go through. It took a long time for the fair and proper ownership tests to be applied and passed by the Saudi owners. What did they do? They went in January and invested quite a bit of money. They bought Bruno Guimaraes in that January. They brought other players in, and they managed to stay in the Premier League. Maybe we could do something similar. We know years and years the Glazers have hated January signings. They have not done them because it comes up quite close to the end of year financials. If it's Radcliffe, if it's Jassim, maybe they'll be more willing to spend big in the January transfer window. See, also we got down there. Ashid is saying, do you think Man City will be the same team as last season? A lot of players leaving. I think they will be. I think Man City will just replace their players with other world-class players. I think that's a big potential thing that happens. Man City will replace players. Manchester United, we hold on to players and then we never really replace them, unfortunately. Daz is saying, I'm not sure Qatar will want Ten Hag, to be honest. I think they will. I mean, I think that they will want to keep things ticking over. I think Erik Ten Hag will be given a chance to prove himself. It was reported that all staff would receive 100 days, basically as a review by the Qatari owners as to whether they're good enough to be there in the first place. So I think Erik Ten Hag will be given the time. I think he's earned the time, and I don't think that Sheikh Jassim or Radcliffe will look at it like this is somebody we need to replace. They'll probably look at the owners. They'll probably look at directors, Richard Arnold, John Murda, and said these guys are incompetent. Let's get rid of them first. Let's bring in some scouts first. Let's go and get a director of football. Let's get some better training facilities and stuff. That's what they'll want to improve on straight away, I think. Who else have we got down there? Big T says City could mentally not be there after achieving a treble for sure. Unfortunately, City can also start the new season and catch up later. Absolutely, they did that this season. And Gary Neville was basically laughed at. I'm sure you guys remember it. I mean, Gary Neville was laughed at by Arsenal fans for saying that if Arsenal slipped up, Man City would win the league because they would go on a run from January and basically win every match. That's exactly what happened, and Arsenal slipped up and Arsenal lost the league, and Man City are just at that level where they can go and win for 5 months straight, not drop any points. It's depressing as a United fan. It's disappointing as a United fan, but we do want better. We want Manchester United to be able to compete for that. Some more comments going in. LDG down there. Radcliffe is not getting the club. He cannot borrow any more. And Lucky Singh says manager's job is safe in this moment in time. The Don Bosco down there as well saying if Ten Hag is replaced, it will be madness. He knows what the club is needed already. Thank you very much for that. I mean, I think we have bigger issues at hand than Erik Ten Hag. I think we've a lot of sorry, got some there. We've a lot of issues on the pitch. Now, in terms of what we're doing on the pitch, we need a striker. I think we need a goalkeeper. We need some more midfielders. That's what we will need on the pitch. I think off the pitch, we need to look at new directors, new CEOs, guys who know football, who will want to make this club successful. Not bankers, not people who come in as yes men, like Richard Arnold, like Ed Woodward, who tried to run the club. I mean, Ed Woodward basically came out with a line several seasons ago whenever he was still running Manchester United. And he's basically screwed up every transfer window since because he came out and said Manchester United can do things in the transfer window other clubs can only dream of. And ever since then, it has been madness at Manchester United. Ashid is down there saying Qataris know what Erik Ten Hag is capable of, so he will get properly backed. And Dad says, I would bring Ralph back before Ollie, it's football-related appointment. Thank you very much for that. I mean, I was quite disappointed with Ralph Rangnick. I knew he would not be a great manager after the first couple of weeks, but I mean, I was kind of expecting it to be his director role, his consultancy role on how to progress the team, what managers to go for, what players to go and buy. I thought that could have been very promising for Manchester United, having proper footballing appointments, guys who know the game inside out, running the club in that way. I think that could have been brilliant. Now, as it came out, Rangnick basically had called out the board for being useless, called out the players for not being good enough. I think his honesty probably was his downfall, but I think that's just the way the guy is. I don't think he was ever going to mince his words. He was never going to come in and just take what was going on at the club. He wanted better, and it didn't work for one reason or another. Obviously, last season was an absolute disaster, worst ever Premier League season. But I think as a consultant, as an advisor, as a guy to come in and run the footballing operations, I think he could have been a good option. I mean, we've seen what he did with the Red Bull Group, setting up those clubs. He's done it at Hoffenheim as well. So it would have been unfortunate. Who else is down there? Lucky is saying Eric Bailly is ready to go, £4.5 million. Obviously, not a lot of money coming in terms of the transfer fee, but we will be saving wages. I believe Eric Bailly probably is earning over £100,000 a week, so I think getting him off the books for a little bit of money probably makes sense. He also coming down there. Irfan is saying, is Rich coming to Man United? I'm not, sorry man, I'm not 100% sure on Rich. Hopefully, or oh, sorry, it's Rich coming from Man United. I think that's what it says. Sorry, misread that one. Yeah, I mean it is Rich coming from Man United, especially the way we were run and just about Rangnick out like that. We have so much guys who do not have any clue in terms of football running the club. It's genuinely depressing. So let's hope that changes. No matter who takes over, I want to see footballing people in charge of footballing decisions. I don't think that's a big ask. So guys, we are running a poll because I'm seeing people joining in. So we are asking you guys tonight, who will be the first signing for Manchester United this summer? Will it be Mason Mount? Will it be Rasmus Hojlund? Will it be Andre Onana, the goalkeeper? Or will it be somebody else? If it's somebody else, let me know who you guys think it will be down below in the comments as well. So, thank you very much for all that one, guys. Let's see, Ashid is down there. Apparently, Ralph Rangnick was sacked before Man United interviewed Erik Ten Hag. Yes, I think I've seen that as well. Little bit annoying that there one, but it is what it is. Not too much we can do on that one, unfortunately. He also down there. Lucky Singh says Alex Telles is moving to Braga for 6 million. I think Telles, I think by you're looking at two sales there. Definitely. Definitely. We need to sell those guys, get some money in for them. That's what we want to see. That's what we do want to see. Get ourselves some wages off the book, get some more money coming in, because we're gonna be relying on transfers and sales, because our budget's around 120 million. That's not going to be enough to get what we need to compete next season. We do need to improve more. We do need high levels of spending. I think if United want to seriously go out and try to compete with Man City in the future, we're going to have to spend a lot of money to do so. And I think Ranić was right when he said we needed 10 players. We have 4 or 5 of them. We need another 4 or 5. And I don't think we have the money to do it this season. So I think if we get 2 or 3 world-class players this year, 2 or 3 top-level players, and do the same next season, maybe then we can be in a position to compete. But something I do want to draw your guys' attention to, because I have actually forgot to mention it, is Erik Ten Hag basically is fuming. Now, it was briefly mentioned with the Declan Rice story, but it comes down to something Ten Hag said at the end of last season. Erik Ten Hag essentially said that Manchester United had to go out and we had to invest to remain in the top 4. Not even in terms of trying to compete for trophies, but simply to stay in the top 4. I think it was a real big achievement for Manchester United to finish top 4 last season, finish 3rd place. Other teams around us strengthened in the January window. We brought in Wout Weghorst and we brought in Sabitzer. Sabitzer was okay. He was injured for a lot of time. Weghorst scored 2 goals. He also down there, Ten Hag wanted a wage limit of 200,000 a week. Rashford is being given 350k a week. Do you think the club do you think the club should overrule the manager on wages? I think that's an interesting idea. I mean, I think there could be some sort of Premier League wage cap coming in. There was talk of that across the last couple of weeks. We will see what happens there. Obviously, there's already a spending cap. I wouldn't be against it. I don't think that offering these guys so much money is doing us any good. I just do not think it, because David De Gea, nearly 400,000 a week. When Ronaldo was here, we were talking £500,000 a week. Alexis Sanchez, 450 a week. Pogba, 400,000 a week. So we're talking ludicrous money, and it's so difficult then to sell those players on. Anthony Martial, 200,000 a week. We cannot sell that guy. Harry Maguire probably on something similar on a 6-year contract. So I think the wages need to come down. The spending needs to be smarter, and we need to work as a football club more. That's what I think we need to do as well. So Ashid is saying mainly on sales. If we get rid of the deadwood quickly, then we buy the players we need for now. I do agree with that. I think it's easier said than done getting rid of the deadwood, because we also need to find buyers. I think we have covered quite often the players I think most likely could be sold by Manchester United, who would come in with offers. I think Scott McTominay, definitely lower level Premier League clubs would be interested in McTominay. I think Maguire, I think a West Ham, somebody like that, could definitely be interested in Harry Maguire. Dean Henderson, probably going to Nottingham Forest already. I think there is 3 players there. We're talking probably over 40 to 50 million. Who else have we got down in the comments? Comments are flying in, actually. Let me just see. So Irfan is saying Manchester United are now set to up their pursuit of Napoli's £80 million rated Victor Osimhen after Tottenham's reluctance to sell Harry Kane from Disco Mirror. Not real, but we can dream. Absolutely, we can dream. I would love to get Osimhen. I think £80 million might buy you his left boot and 2 shin pads from Napoli. I think they will want a lot of money. So I wouldn't expect that to happen unless we're going to spend crazy money. But we did say this on the show a couple of days ago. I think if you're going to spend 100 million on Harry Kane, Osimhen at 120 is maybe a better deal. You've got a longer term striker there, someone who is a prolific goal scorer and will definitely add a lot to this team. I think when it comes down to it, that's something we need to do across the board. I think if Mason Mount is going to cost any more than 50 to 60 million, go get somebody else. There's better players in that price range. And it's the same for Rasmus Hojlund. If we're going to spend 100 million on Rasmus Hojlund, go get Gonzalo Ramos for 80 million. That's what I think we have to do. Who else have we got down here as well? LDG says Rashford is definitely demanding stupid wages, not only for football, but political campaigns he also gets involved in. I think there might be something in that. I mean, I love Rashford as a player. I know we've been in negotiations for a while, so it will be interesting to see when that gets sorted, by all accounts, he is expected to sign that contract. So I think Rashford will be staying here certainly for the next couple of seasons. St. Don Bosco is saying definitely 8 or 9 players need to go as soon as possible. And Sunil is down there as well, saying sell everyone. I don't know if we'll sell everyone, man. I think we could sell a lot, and we should sell a lot of players for sure. So thank you very much for that there one. Who else have we got down there? Lucky Singh saying McTominay, Maguire, Aston Villa. I think that's probably a decent level for those players. Sunil saying Salalanga. Daz is saying if we could afford those wages, still think we still cannot get unless we get Qatar. Thank you very much for that. I think big wages, big money, it will come with Qatari ownership. I think regardless of how much Sheikh Tassim tries to keep prices down, I think we will still be charged a lot of money, and we still will be asked for a lot of wages from clubs as well. Sunil is down there saying sell Alanga, Sancho, Maguire, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Fred and Martial. Yes, I think we could sell all of those players. And I think this does sort of show the level of our squad. We have a lot of players, and I don't think we would miss selling most of them. I think we could sell Maguire. I think we could sell McTominay, Fred, Brandon Williams, Tellez, Bailly, Dean Henderson, Donny van de Beek, Anthony Martial, Anthony Alanga. There's 10 players, and I don't think they add too much to this team. We probably wouldn't miss them long term. He also down in the comments as well. Let me see. Ashid is saying the England players are training at Old Trafford for their game tomorrow. Shaw is playing agent for Kane Rice. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Maybe Luke Shaw should lock Harry Kane in Carrington and tell Daniel Levy you'll let him out when you agree to sell him to us or something. I don't know. He probably is having those conversations. He did actually put up as well on his Instagram. Of course, I thought it was quite funny that he was giving Declan Rice and Harry Kane a tour around Carrington. He also got Statius is down there saying Watkins is a better signing than Ramos. Thank you very much for that, man. I think Watkins is a good player. I think definitely you're looking at a guy guaranteeing 15 Premier League goals next season. I think he's a very talented player, very quick and direct, good finisher. I think Ramos, we're looking at a younger player. I think he's better suited to what we need, because Watkins does like to occupy the wide areas as well, whereas Gonzalo Ramos is more of a proper traditional number 9, will occupy the centre of the penalty box, kind of where we need to be occupying. I think we have a lot of wide players. We do not have that real focal point, someone to play the ball off, someone who is a lethal finisher within the penalty box. But thanks for the comment. I do think Watkins could be a good signing. Let's see as well. Lucky Singh is saying, good news, McTominay is looking for a new adventure. I think if you're Scott McTominay, I think this is the time to leave Manchester United. He will never get to the level that we need him to be in possession. He's a guy, 25, 26, coming into his prime years. So does he want his prime years to be at Manchester United, being a bit part player? Or does he want to go somewhere and be ambitious and go to an Aston Villa, a West Ham, someone like that, and play a lot of matches? That's what I hope Scott McTominay will be thinking of. Daz is down there saying Ollie Watkins has had one good season. I think last season was his best season. I do think he's been good across the board, especially for Villa and for Brentford in the Championship. But I do think last season definitely head and shoulders above everything else he has done so far. So let me just get this up for you guys as well. So some quick updates on the takeover. Basically just a recap of where we currently stand, because I expect word this week. So Reuters, those are the guys, the big financial institution, they're coming out with the news regarding the takeover at the moment. Those are guys we want to listen to. We want to listen to guys who will come out with the big in the know news, basically. Reuters are insiders. They will go, of course, to investment banks, corporations, Wall Street investors, private investors. So they're basically saying the Qatari offer is currently viewed as by the Glazers as the most favourable, rather than a bid from Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Of course, there was all the talk last week regarding exclusivity talks. Will be interesting to see how that develops. Now, by all accounts, Reuters said that they were in negotiations for it. All the club media, the BBC, Simon Stone, etc., came out to deny this and said there was nothing agreed for that. But we knew that already, because that's what negotiations are. Negotiations aren't an agreement, if that makes sense. So it was kind of a non-update. It was the club trying to put something down. I expect more news breaking this week on terms of the actual takeover itself. Any more thoughts, guys? Get them into the comments. And we are asking you guys in the poll as well, who will be the first summer signing this transfer window? Will it be Mount? Will it be Hojlund? Will it be Andre Onana? Or will it be somebody else? If you guys think it's going to be a different player, let me know down below. Get your thoughts in. Completely interactive stream as always. And for any of you guys who are new and you want to join in with the community, please consider hitting that sub button. We're very close to 1,000 subscribers, and it's a real testament to you guys. The support, it is incredible, and I really appreciate every single one of you guys. Ronnie is down in the comments saying the party has been coming this season, has to be 2 strikers. Thank you very much for that. I think 2 strikers, absolutely essential. I think we need at least one to lead the line. And with Weghorst going back to Burnley, or wherever he's going to go, with Anthony Martial likely going to be injured for 50% plus of next season, we need that extra striker, because if that striker we bring in is injured, suspended, drops in form, we have to play Rashford, and then we only have Garnacho on the left-hand side. So I do think we need to go out and get 2 strikers. That's a very good point as well. He also got down in the comments, Daz is saying Sheikh Jassim must be pulling his hair out. Absolutely. I think Erik Ten Hag, if he had hair left, he would probably have pulled it out by now. Dude is down there saying no club sale, no proper signings. We are frustrated. Absolutely. Frustration is brewing within the fan base. Erik Ten Hag rumoured to be furious at the club refusing to go after targets such as Declan Rice, Harry Kane. He is so frustrated with this takeover as well. So it's like I said, if Erik Ten Hag had hair left, he probably would have pulled it out. So if we see Ten Hag without his beard, we know what's happened. He's got very frustrated and he's just pulled a little bit out. So let me see what else is on the notes for tonight's stream for anybody who is coming in slightly later. Yes, of course. So Jacob Steinberg basically has come out with another article regarding Onana. So we basically got this yesterday. Manchester United would be leading the race for Andre Onana because Chelsea had pulled out. Now, according to Steinberg, I think he might be a little bit out of date with his news here, saying that Chelsea are set to be rivaled, but we'll get it in there. We'll report on it as always, because that's what we do on the news show. Our fans down there, I am sick about all the Glazers out and Qatar in. Absolutely, man. I would love to be sitting here talking exclusive transfers and stuff like that. We don't want to be sitting here saying Erik Ten Hag has been given no money this summer to buy players, or we're going to have to sell half of our squad before we can buy somebody. That's what we don't want to see. We've had this before. Manchester United are crap at selling players. We are absolutely awful. Since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, the only player we have managed to make a profit on is Daniel James. So do not expect miracles in this transfer window. Do not expect us to go out and sell some big players and make a lot of money so Erik Ten Hag can get an extra 100 million. We might sell Henderson, Maguire, McTominay, Telles, Bailly and get £40 million for them. That's genuinely what Manchester United could do. We could get even less knowing the way this club goes sometimes. So I can see loads of people are joining in. Any thoughts, guys? Get them down in the comments and keep voting on the poll as well. I am asking you guys tonight, who will be the first summer signing off this season? Will it be Mason Mount? Will it be Rasmus Hojlund, Andre Onana, or somebody else? If you guys think it is somebody else, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Is it a Diogo Costa? Is it going to be Axel Diasi? Is it going to be Tobido? Is it going to be Declan Rice? Whoever it is, let me know down below. Lucky is saying as well, Mason Mount is coming close. I think we are closing in on Mount. I think all things considered, we have put a bid in of £40 million already. There's a good chance that Mount might be that first summer transfer signing of the year, and hopefully we will get more as well. Eric is down there as well. Update me on Man United takeover, please. Absolutely, man. So where do we currently stand on the takeover? Let me bring this to you guys. So there was 2 pieces of information that broke today. So first and foremost, this came from the Times in England. They're reporting that it's unlikely that Sheikh Jassim or Sir Jim Ratcliffe will be installed as the owner before the start of next season. As well as that, it has come out from the Daily Mirror. Sheikh Jassim is considering bringing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer back to the club in some sort of a role, not as a manager, but as an ambassador or some sort of a director or something like that. That's basically the updates that have come out today. If you want a proper where do we stand, so I will give that to you guys as well. So in terms of where we stand at the moment, Reuters are doubling down on their report that Sheikh Jassim is looking exclusive talks with the Glazers and he is in negotiations for it. We do expect there to be progress this week. Now, the weekends can go one of 2 ways, either very quiet or a lot of news. And that's because of the way the stock market works. Basically, we can't break this news during trading hours because it makes the share price go up too much, and some people in Wall Street do not like that. But I do expect there to be updates this week. I'm sure you guys are expecting it as well. Hopefully they will be positive. Hopefully it will be the Glazers are close to accepting a bid or something like that. Hopefully it won't just be the usual updates we get where it's the Glazers don't know if they want to sell, none of the bids are good enough, and they want another £5 billion added on from Sheikh Jassim or from Radcliffe. Who else is down there in the comments? Irfan is saying, I'm sick about Mount, Sancho, Sancho, Harry Maguire flop. Thank you very much for that, man. I'm pretty sick of Mount as well. I think he's a good player. I would love to bring him in. I just think this is a deal we should have had done by now. Absolutely. Who else have we got down there? Ronnie is saying, I think it will be Hojlund, as our manager is a great admirer of him. I think it makes sense to bring Hojlund in. I think if we can get a deal done in some way, shape, or form, that will be big. And just on that, we do have this, just because people are joining in. So just to keep you guys updated with the big story that is broke out today. So Manchester United are willing to send Amad Diallo back to Atalanta on a 1-year loan deal as a sweetener for the deal. Basically, just take a couple of million off that price tag for Hojlund. I think we do definitely have links to Hojlund. There are strong links. Romano has said it. We've seen it from Ornstein, from Laurie Whitwell, Italian sources as well. I think with Rasmus Hojlund signing with Erik Ten Hag's agent as well, there's a very straightforward path to negotiations. Erik Ten Hag can just call his agent and talk about Hojlund. That could be something that Manchester United look to exploit. Do expect Atalanta to hold on for a lot of money. They will do it before. They got £30 million for Amad Diallo. He hadn't played a first team match for them at that stage. Let's see as well. Big T's down there saying Ollie as substitute coach. Hopefully, I mean, if we need a second striker, maybe Ollie's going to be the substitute striker. Maybe that could be how that would go. Lucky Singh says Ollie will be a director. Could be a possibility as well. Lucky is also saying Amad Diallo would mind that. I think that could be a good deal. I think what's key for Amad is to go out and get himself some first team football. Same what he did last season. He improved so much at Sunderland because he played every single week. And when you're a young player, that's what you need. You need experience, you need the minutes to improve and get better. I think he's better going to Atalanta for a season, playing every week in Serie A, than he would be sitting on the bench at United, watching Anthony or Sancho play ahead of him every week. That's what I think is a better deal for Amad. That's what I think his advisors and Manchester United will be pushing him towards. So it all depends on how he will be used by Manchester United next season. It is really a possibility. So we will see what happens with that one in the long term. Any more thoughts, guys? Get them down below. Lucky Singh is backing a move for Amad going to Atalanta on loan. I think that could be a good offer. And Atalanta is a club he knows well. He was previously there. He knows the city. I think it could be a smart deal, and I think that could be a decent option. Abraham is down there as well. We must sign a striker first. There are players that we can sell. Martial for Hojlund, Onana for Henderson, and we can buy Kane or Osimhen and another defender. Thank you very much for that. I do think striking position is key, because Manchester United, every club in Europe who has a striker, a young striker or a good striker, know that when Manchester United come looking, we are desperate for a striker. We really need a striker. And they will charge us extra. They will definitely charge a United tax. We might end up paying 50, 60 million for a player who other clubs could get for 30 million. That might be how it goes this summer. It's unfortunate, but when Man City come for a player, their squad is so good that they can walk away if the deal doesn't suit them. United, we need to go out and get that striker. Everybody knows that, so they will try to charge us more. So that's why I think striker should be the first signing, because if we have a limited budget, 120, 150 million as set by the Glazers, then what we have to do is get the big purchase out first, because what we do not want to do is spend our entire budget on Mason Mount, on buying a goalkeeper, and then having no money for a striker. That's what I think we need to do. Go get the big purchase done, sell some players, and bring everybody else in who we want to bring. That's what I think will be key in this one, absolutely. Who else is down there? Big T is saying, if Hojlund is the only striker that comes in, imagine the pressure on his shoulders. That could be a lot of pressure for a young player. Absolutely agree with you, man. I think it's probably why Erik Ten Hag wants to bring in a young player as well. And I think it would be a smart signing to bring in a Taremi, bring in somebody like that, with a bit of experience, who will not wilt under the lights, and it takes pressure off Hojlund next season if he came in. Lucky Singh's down there saying Hojlund and Marcus Thuram. I think Marcus Thuram is a good player. I think 15 Bundesliga goals last season. French international, was in the World Cup squad on a free transfer. I don't know if it gets much better than that. And I think he would come in as a player who can play as a striker, he can play on the wing, and he can do a lot of different jobs for Manchester United. So, absolutely, Marcus Thuram would be a brilliant signing for us on a free. Tenzing is down there saying if Casemiro gets injured 2 months, and who will replace Casemiro? We need a centre defensive midfielder. Absolutely, I think we need more backup in that position. That's why I would have loved for us to go out, if we had the budget, to buy Moses Caicedo. Because Caicedo can play box to box, he can play number 6, he can play CDM, he can even fill in at right back. I think he would have been a very, very good player to have brought in. Daz is down there saying Hojlund isn't scoring chance after chance either. Probably not, but I think he would score enough across the season to improve us. And I think if we can, I said I think I said in Discord last night, if we bring in a player who comes in and scores 20 goals but makes Bruno, Rashford, Anthony, or other players better, that's better than a 40-goal striker who makes everybody else worse because they're occupying the wrong positions or they don't link up well. That's what I think, honestly, because we need as much goals across that team as possible. So there's a balance to maintain. But I do think you are right. I do think Hojlund probably wouldn't get the goals that he might have been expected to. If he comes in for 100 million, scores 20 goals, they'll probably call him a flop. That's the sad reality of it. He else is down there as well. Who's that? Is that Gifty down there saying I think Rashford and Hojlund would link up great. I think they could as well. Hojlund does occupy some interesting areas. He's played as a front two, so he's used to having a player in and around his areas as well. The way Rashford does, Rashford cuts in from that inside forward position, gets into the penalty box. He starts on the left, but he finishes in the middle. I think that would work well with what Hojlund does for sure. He also got down there, Big T saying Martinez can play defensive mid. Yeah, I mean, he could do. He absolutely could do. I think that's an option. I think we could have done it at times last season. I think we've also seen Victor Lindelof play defensive mid. Not that I think that was a smart idea, but there's definitely ways around it. I think we could get around it. And if Casemiro's injured and we bring in a centre back, for instance, maybe a 3 at the back could work in those matches. I don't know, but we will see what happens for sure. He also got Abraham down there. If Mount is out of favour, he will be in favour with Eric. Don't hype the player. He needs more money. I mean, Erik Ten Hag does need more money. I think Mount could do well at United. I just think it comes down to price tags. If we're talking over 50 million, that's too much in my opinion. If it's 50 million, I think that's just about acceptable for me. Big T's down there as well. I was got that one already. Joy is saying, is Qatar still buying Man United? From what we know, from what we believe, they're definitely in the race. They definitely haven't pulled out. It does look like their bid is moving ahead, that it is potentially favoured by the Glazers, according to Reuters and other financial newspapers. So that is a possibility, and it could happen. He also got down there, St. Don Bosco, saying, why are United so keen on Kim Min Jae? He's quality. I mean, I would have loved Kim Min Jae. I mean, I watched bits of him last season for Napoli. He always impressed me, Champions League and in Serie A. Then when I did the video on him, I'm sitting looking at this guy, like watching clips, watching the highlights, looking at his position, how he plays football. I mean, you have a guy there, tall, strong, physical, very good in the air, very dominant in the air, very good at interceptions. His passing is incredible. His carrying of the ball forward is also incredible as well. I think he would have been a brilliant partner for Lisandro Martinez long term. He also we got down there. Lucky is saying Sheikh to Sim looking for the next talks, and Irfan is saying only 2 players will come in. United is in the Glazer mode, number 9 and a number 8. Thank you very much for that one, man. I do agree. We are having a Glazer budget. One last Glazer budget before they go. One last Glazer screw you to Manchester United. We've seen it so many times. We've seen this happen over and over across the years of Manchester United. One last season of it, hopefully. Then it's done. Hopefully then we can invest more money into this team. Without the debt, we will have a lot more money to spend. No doubt about it. No debt, no dividends. United will be in a better place for sure. St. Don Bosco says, don't forget United have some great talent coming through. Absolutely we do. I think Garnacho, absolutely brilliant. And we do have a story on Garnacho to bring you guys. So thank you very much. That actually has reminded me of Garnacho. So, this is coming, of course, from Sam Bates, who says, not even new arrivals will be a barrier to Alejandro Garnacho figuring prominently in the Premier League and Champions League next season. He also added as well that Erik Ten Hag and his coaching staff are very excited about Garnacho's potential and think he could be the best young player at the club. Other than Garnacho, we're talking Kobbie Mainoo, very good player, a lot of potential, only 17. Zidane Iqbal's another one. Charlie McNeil's a decent young striker. Daniel Gore, Isaac Hansen-Aron. So there are some good young players for sure. Wallow says, update about the takeover now. Is Qatar still buying Man United? They want to. They're trying their best. It all depends on what the Glazer family want. Those guys are greedy. Those guys will want every last penny. I think we could be heading towards Qatari takeover. That's my personal view. But there could be twists. There could be twists and turns in the tail. Radcliffe is not out of this race just yet, so we will see how this develops. I think next week we're looking at a big week in terms of the overall takeover for sure. He also got down there, Big T says, look like Neves is going to Saudi Arabia. Could do a job for us. Yeah, I think he's a good player. I think Neves could do a job for us. Very strange to see a player going in his prime years to Saudi Arabia. I mean, when Ruben Neves first broke through at Porto, we were talking about a guy being talked about as a potentially generational midfielder. An 18-year-old breaking through into Porto, playing in the Champions League, playing for Portugal, captaining Porto as well. Then he goes to Wolves in the Championship. He stays at Wolves for several seasons, and then he goes and joins Saudi Arabia. It is unfortunate. I think he could have been a really good player for a big team. But it's his choice, man, as well. Razat's on there saying, hi, not going to talk too much. No worries, man. Good to see you, as always. Irfan saying, Greenwood, Zidane, and Garnacho could be interesting. Could be interesting. And, sorry, some of my nose there. I do think that definitely, there could be something in this Greenwood saga. Because it's gone on for a long time now. This investigation is still ongoing. Let's see what happens. I don't know if he will be brought back. I think it will depend on what sponsorships say, on what the brands say. It will be interesting to see where we go long term with Mason Greenwood. Will he be kept? Will he be released? Let's find out. He also got down there as well. Big T says the club won't pay the big wages anymore. Daz says Neves has no ambition for him. Forget him. And Lucky says Avram and Joel will be looking at a move. That is the big talk. I think that's the biggest update we have on the takeover from last week. It has always been Joel and Avram Glazer looking to stay on, to sink their claws into Manchester United and stay there as long as possible, to get every last penny out of this club. Every last penny. For those guys to be potentially considering selling up, I think that's a big development. Because the other Glazers, Brian, Edward, Darcy, I think there's another one as well, those guys have wanted to sell all along. They wanted out. This is why United are in this position. This kind of has been inevitable from the Super League, because once the Super League failed, that was the Glazers' big plan to make billions off United, millions and millions. That was their big plan up in smoke. That did not go down the way they wanted it to. What did happen after that was that United basically started to go downhill financially. We did lose money over COVID, a lot of money. The debt has increased. United are not as profitable as we once were. And there's major renovations needed at Old Trafford in terms of the training facilities. We need to invest in the team as well to be competitive. So I think the Glazers have reached a point now where it's like their ownership model doesn't work. They will not put the money into the club. So now they're selling. And I think finally that Joel and Avram are deciding to move on from Manchester United. Irfan's down there saying Neves, I don't like Alvaro. Is that Alvaro Morata we're talking about? As well. Razat and Joy is down there as well. Is Greenwood still playing for Man United? Yes, he is, Joy. Yes. He is still playing for Manchester United. He is a United player. He is under contract. At the moment, he is not taking any part in training. He is not at the training facilities. He is not allowed to be there until this investigation is finished by the club. That is the big development. So until that investigation is finished, until we know what's going to happen with Mason Greenwood long term, he will be a Manchester United player until the club decide otherwise. They might try to sell him. They might try to loan him out. They might terminate his contract. It all depends on what will happen long term with Greenwood. But for now, for today, he is a Manchester United player. Daz is down there saying Walker is leaving City. Yeah, I mean, that's something that I think City need to be commended on. As good as Man City are at bringing players in, they let players go as well. And whenever City feel like a player is regressing and going downhill, they get rid of him. There's no sentiment. There's no sentiment. There's no this guy has been here for so long. I mean, United have had Phil Jones at the club for 12 years. I mean, that's the obvious example. Man City would have had Phil Jones gone the year he started to break down with injuries. United have never done that. We have been forced to keep players for so long, so it is unfortunate. I do not think that United managers have had the power they need to shape the team in their own way. But let's see what happens with that long term. Hopefully, new players coming in, new owners, that will change as well. Will is down there as well, just joining. What's the latest around Man United and the most important? Firstly, thank you very much for joining, man. Much appreciated. So, just a quick roundup of all the transfer stuff first. So, the big talk tonight coming out is Manchester United are going back in for Rasmus Hojlund. Now, of course, we were initially warned off in terms of the price, 100 million, but United think we can work a deal out. If we go and offer Amad Diallo on loan for a season, then they might be inclined to lower the price. That could be a really good offer, in my opinion, because it gets Ahmad first team football in Serie A, very good league, where he will play every single week. I think that's a very smart deal. And if it gets us a striker, that's even better. And then we can bring Ahmad back next season, and then he could really start to be that number one right winger for me. In terms of other stuff coming in as well, United going back in for Mason Mount. Erik Ten Hag wants him 100%. That's according to Politico, and I do think that Mason Mount will be a Manchester United player. Certainly by the end of the transfer window. Sam Bates has also said Man United are interested in Eze from Crystal Palace. That could be an interesting signing. Any thoughts on that one? Get it in down below. We did discuss him earlier as well. Romano says United are sending scouts to follow John Clair, Tobido and Axel Diasi from AS Monaco and Nice respectively. So two potential new signings there for the centre-back positions. I think that's because we have missed out on Kim Min Jae from the looks of things. And in terms of other news, Manchester United have also decided that Garnacho will feature prominently in Premier League and Champions League next season, regardless of new signings coming in. Just in other news as well, Erik Ten Hag is fuming at the length of this takeover. He is getting very frustrated and he wants it done as soon as possible. Who else have we got? We have the Times reporting Manchester United I've told it is basically unlikely that Sheikh Jassim or Jim Radcliffe will be installed as the new owner before the season starts. So we will start the season with Glazer ownership, unfortunately. And finally, the last piece of news, just for the roundup, is according to the Daily Mirror, Sheikh Jassim would like to bring Ole Gunnar Solskjaer back to Old Trafford if he wins the race to become the owner. Ollie has interested that he would be interested in returning in some capacity in the future to the club. Who else have we got down in the comments? Let me see. Rajat is saying Elisa over Eze. I think Elisa is brilliant. I think he could be a brilliant signing as well. Who else have we got down there? Arfan is saying Arsenal are closing in Arsenal are struggling to keep pace in the race for Declan Rice as others threaten to move in. Amongst others, Manchester United are very likely to move in on Rice. I think that will be an interesting one. Of course, the big talk coming out this morning and all afternoon was that United basically were refusing to go and buy Declan Rice. Now, if we're going back in for him, maybe something has happened with the Arsenal bid. Maybe they have reached their limit on what they want to offer, and maybe they'll pull out. Who else have we got down here as well? Daniel saying we are so close to 1k. We absolutely are, guys. So if anybody is new and wants to help us hit 1,000 subscribers on the channel, please feel free, hit that sub button. Really helps the channel out and helps the community out as well. Will is saying, I really appreciate the rundown, man. Lastly, on a scale of 1 to 10, what are the odds on getting Declan Rice? I think we're talking... Because I think we would need seals or we would need to send players the other way. And I think that's a complicated deal to do. So I think maybe a 3 or a 4 out of 10. I'll be quite pessimistic on this one. Just because West Ham want minimum a deal worth 120 million. Be it money, be it players coming in. That's what they want. Who else have we got in the comments? Lucky Singh says Mount has thrown the door. We will have a start. And Rizat says Koulibaly is going for the Saudi move. Yes, the Saudis are buying a lot of players, and I think it's interesting. This last couple of days, we've seen a real shift in what the Saudi clubs have been doing. They're not just going after free agents. They're signing Ruben Neves for 55 million. They're buying Koulibaly for money as well, and others probably will follow as well. I think Edouard Mendy is I think it's Edward Mendy, the Chelsea goalkeeper, or is that the Crystal Palace striker? Mendy from Chelsea anyway seems to be going to Saudi Arabia as well for money, so that is a real potential there. Lucky Singh is saying as well, positive for Mount. Rajat is saying as well, Mount will be £55 million. I think that is the very most that I want to pay for Mason Mount. We're looking at a guy 1 year left on his contract, coming off a pretty poor season by his standards. I do think there's a player in there. I think Erik Ten Hag could get that out of him, but I do think United will need to move on if it goes any higher than that. West Ham shown interest in Maguire. There's a deal to be done for Rice there, says Big T. Thank you very much for that, man. I do agree with that. I think they've shown interest in the past in Maguire and Scott McTominay. I mean, maybe we could send them both. Maybe we give them both players and get Declan Rice, but it all depends as well. Rajad is saying De Gea could be going to Saudi, could be potential. Daz is saying Saudi Arabia do not want Harry Maguire, and Irfan is saying United are keen to sign £80 million rated Benfica striker Gonzalo Ramos. Yeah, I mean, that could be brilliant. That could be. I think Gonzalo Ramos might be the striker signing, depending on what happens with this Hojlund deal. I think United expected Hojlund to be a lot cheaper than what he has been. That hasn't worked out for us, unfortunately. I think if we're talking 60, 70 million for Hojlund, spend the extra 10 million. Get yourself Gonzalo Ramos. This guy is genuinely brilliant, and I think he would be brilliant for United long term. Big T says Wilfred Zaha has been offered to Saudi Arabia. Yes, of course, I believe he's leaving Palace on a free transfer. I mean, Wilfred Zaha is another player, so talented, all the ability in the world, and he kind of goes to show what does happen if you commit a long-term deal to teams like Palace, like West Ham, even Tottenham Hotspur. They can hold you there basically indefinitely because you will not have a choice. You cannot accept the offer for you, and it is unfortunate for those players, I think. Will is saying, I'm not huge on Mount, but as long as we get a good defensive midfielder, I will be fine with it. Yeah, I mean, I think we do need that more box-to-box, that number 8. I think Caicedo would be an absolutely brilliant option. I think as well those links to a young French midfielder seems to be very well rounded, could be an interesting one. Let me just see if I can pull that one up as well. Rajat is saying United really need Gonzalo and Hojlund. I do think 2 strikers. I don't think we'll get both Hojlund and Gonzalo Ramos. I think it will be one or the other. Then maybe we look at a Marcus Thuram or Mehdi Taremi from Porto has been rumoured in recent days. I think you're talking there experienced strikers coming in for free or for very little money in Taremi's case. So I think that's potential. Rajat is saying we'll get Mount over Rice is not great. I think I think we will go for I think Mount definitely. I don't think we will have the budget, unfortunately, to get Declan Rice, so we will see what happens on that one long term. Daz is down there as well. 2 strikers, a centre back, and a midfielder. That could be a very nice summer. I think a lot of it depends on what happens with David De Gea. If De Gea goes, we will buy a new first choice goalkeeper. If De Gea stays, I think we look at a second choice goalkeeper. I think we will be bringing in a goalkeeper of some description. I think it could be Onana. Rajat says, get Firmino. I don't know, man. Big T says, are you hanging up your shirt if we sign Calvert-Lewin? Absolutely, man. Every shirt I have will be hung up. United till I die. I hope we can get some players in at some point this season. Absolutely. That's what we want. But guys, I haven't actually plugged it for a wee bit here. We are running a poll in the comments for you guys. So who will be the first signing this summer? Will it be Mason Mount, Rasmus Hojlund, Andre Onana, or another player? If it's going to be another one, get it down below. Daz reckons De Gea will stay. That's an interesting development. All the talk last week was he could potentially go. We will see what happens. Will be certainly an interesting time. Yeah, so here's the one we want to talk about. Just because I mentioned United in for a young French midfielder. So this is coming. Manchester United had a verbal approach rejected by Strasbourg for midfielder Habib Diarra, holding talks about a potential €11 million deal. Meant to be quite well rounded, meant to be a good young French midfielder, might be an interesting player. I think that could be something we go for, is these kind of lesser known players who maybe are not at their prime yet. I think that could be an interesting way to go. I think we need a nice blend. I think we do need more young players in the team. I think when we look at our main players being in midfield, being Casemiro and Eriksen, both are over 30 now. We've got Bruno at 28. We have De Gea at 32. We have Varane, 30 as well. So I think some younger players will be needed for this team. The else we got down here, Will is saying, does Costa have good distribution? I've mostly only seen shot stopping from him. If it's Diogo Costa, his distribution is genuinely, perhaps maybe the best in Europe. I think he is absolutely incredible in terms of his distribution. A brilliant penalty saver as well. A lot of that has to do with having Pepe in defence ahead of him, but he does face a lot of penalties. He saves a lot of penalties. I think Costa would be brilliant. I think Costa, we're looking at a guy coming in with an impact similar to Alisson at Liverpool, similar to Ederson at Man City. That's how highly I rate Diogo Costa. And I would say the same for Onana, absolutely as well. Who else we got down in the comments? Looks like we got birth of an Eminence. Kansas United going on tour with the Glazers not being the current owners. Sales going to drag on all summer. Yep, absolutely. We will not getting new. We will not have new owners in by the start of the season. That's unfortunate, but that's the way it's going. He also down in the comments as well. Irfan is saying talk sport Man United target Mbappe beats League One Player of the Season. Gong. Who beat Mbappe to League One Player of the Season? Sorry. I think I might have missed that there. The comments are moving as well. Rajat is saying bad to take too many risks. Absolutely. Anthony says, hi people. Hi Anthony as well. Thank you very much for joining in with us on this Sunday evening, wherever you guys are in the world. Very glad to have you guys with us as always. Big T's down there as well. I would actually swap Rashford for a striker. I think that's an interesting one. I don't think I would, because I think we need more goals in the team. I think if we get rid of Rashford's 30 goals and bring somebody else in, he scores 30 goals, we're not getting any more goals. I think we need to add to what we have and before we look at taking away. But I mean, it could happen in future. Maybe Rashford would move on. That is potentially going to happen. I don't know. We will see what happens on that one in the coming years. Any more thoughts, guys? Keep getting them into the comments. Let's see. Anthony says Habib Diarra for 15 is not a bad deal. Absolutely not. I think could be a really interesting signing. Looking at his stats, he's a player who is quite well rounded in midfield. Very tidy player overall. Rajad is also saying United have never transfers done the same like 2 p.m. link and 6 p.m. done deal. Absolutely not. Manchester United like to drag things out. We like to hold things down, make it last so long, negotiating over and over again just to do nothing. Ravsky's down there as well. Liverpool Thuram, almost a done deal. Yes, could be a done deal for Thuram going to Liverpool. I would have loved Thuram because I think you've got a guy 25 years old, 15 goals last year in the Bundesliga, French international for free. I think that would be a really good addition to the squad. Even if he isn't the main striker, I think then you're looking at having more options. As well, Big T saying Garnacho will score more than Rashford in a full season. I don't know, man. I mean, he might be better than Rashford long term, but I don't think he's at that level yet. Ben is down there as well. What's happening with the takeover? Good to see you, man. In terms of the takeover, two small updates came out today. So, first and foremost, the Times have said Man United will not have any new ownership by the start of the season. That's unfortunate, but we knew it was coming. The other one is coming from the Daily Mirror. They have said basically that Sheikh Dusim is interested in bringing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer back to the club in some sort of a capacity. Solskjaer also had indicated he would like to return, so perhaps as an ambassador or as a director, something like that. In terms of overall takeover, last week was a big one. We had Qatari sources and Reuters as well coming out saying that exclusive talks were beginning, and they would be talking for exclusivity periods. I think that's an interesting development that will have to happen before we see any sort of deal happening. So I think this will be a big week for the takeover. Absolutely. He also got Irfan is saying Ten Hag will not play the young like Garnacho, Zidane, Iqbal, and Kobe Minu. I think he will, but I think we do need to improve our team as well. I think what we need to do is have a team, and this was said a long time ago. A lot of people look at the class of 92 and think they won Premier Leagues by themselves. They didn't really, because they had really good experienced players alongside them. Roy Keane, Steve Bruce, Pallister, Marcuse, Cantona, Schmeichel, guys like that. They had leaders in that locker room. We don't really have that sort of leadership. We are slowly getting there, and I think we will see more young players come through with better leadership around them, better examples. So I do think that will be something we see in time. Rajat says, do not get Ollie back. Ben says, nice to see you again. It's good to see you as well, man. Thank you very much for joining in with us. United till I die wouldn't be a bad idea. I love Ollie, just not as a manager. Absolutely. He also got Anthony is saying we should be looking at ways to the throning city instead of saying Ten Hag isn't playing his younger players. Absolutely, we do need to get up there. We need to get improving. Absolutely, I think young players will come through in time, but we need to get competitive as well. We got Rajat saying Palestri is more technical than Rashi. I think in some ways, I guess maybe, but I think the Rashford hit is a little bit over exaggerated. Guy scored 30 goals last season and added a lot to the team, and I think it will be important that we keep hold of him certainly for next season. I'm expecting more. I think looking at Rashford, we have a guy 3 seasons ago he scored 22 goals. The season after he scored 23 goals. The season before last he scored 5 goals. Very poor season for him, and then he scored 30 goals. So I think Rashford's level is around 25 goals a season. I think that's a fair assumption to make across a year. I don't think we can lose those goals from our team. So I don't think we get those from Garnacho or from Palestri at the moment. We might get them in future, but I think at the moment we need to keep hold of Rashi. Absolutely. He also we got down there. Lucky is saying Livea, Mohamed Kudus would increase our contracts. I mean, I think both players would massively improve this team. Absolutely. So I do agree with you there, man. He also United Solid Die. We need a first team before we integrate youth. We need solid foundations next to them. Playing the youth won't work in the long run. Yeah, absolutely. I think they need sort of big experienced players around them to guide them through matches, be there as inspirations, be there as role models. That's what we do need. They also got in the comments, we have Lucky Singh, Levea Mohamed Kudus. Yes, we went through that, sorry. Ravsky says, doesn't matter who manages United, as long as Glazers own us, we will never challenge for the Premier League title. I agree with that. I think that's a very good statement because United won Premier League titles under the Glazers. We won a Champions League under the Glazers. But that team was built before they even came. Alex Ferguson had Giggs and Scholes and the likes already there. Rio Ferdinand. He brought in Michael Carrick. He brought in Rooney, Ronaldo, all before the Glazers came. Those players improved as a team and we got better. And when Rooney and Ronaldo, Tevez hit their kind of peak years, we won trophies. But we have not competed consistently under the Glazers. We will not get to where we need to because we need massive investment. And we need a massive investment because they didn't invest for so long. I mean, we sold Ronaldo, we sold Tevez, we brought in Obertan, Michael Owen, and Bebe, I think. So that was the levels there, and that's why we are at the level we are. As well, Owusu says we should get serious and get players. Absolutely, get serious, man. We need that. Rawski says, why did Ranić leave? I think Ranić left for many reasons. He fell out with a lot of people behind the scenes. Now, we know as a manager it wasn't good enough. Absolutely was not good enough. But as a consultant, as a director of football, we could have had a really good appointment there. But he did fall out with a lot of people behind the scenes. He was very honest. He called people out on the board for not being good enough at their jobs. And ultimately, they got rid of him. And it was unfortunate as well. He also down there as well. Razat saying, Rashford is selfish, not consistent, and would be useless with Harry Kane. I think I would disagree because I think what Rashford does is similar to how Son plays at Tottenham. So I think there would be that link up. I think he makes similar runs from the left into the inside channels and gets into goal scoring positions. I think if Harry Kane came, the biggest thing would be he would be occupying the same spaces as Bruno Fernandes. So I think that's something to consider. We also got as well, Mariak says, I'm too. I'm tired of hearing this news every now and then. Yeah, absolutely, man. We want proper news. We want developments on takeovers. We want the transfers done as well. Will says Lavia coached by Erik Ten Hag and learning from Casemiro was a dream. Absolutely, would be brilliant. United till I die. Rashford's all right, but he needs to be highly motivated to get goals. Once his head drops, it's hard for him to adjust. As people said, he is not technical. I don't think he's a technically great player, but I think definitely has a lot of uses. His speed is fantastic in behind. I would definitely be keeping Rashford for another couple of seasons at least. KedX is saying, just bring Ollie back to destroy our dressing room again. No, go manage somewhere else, man. Love him as a player, but as a manager, sorry. Absolutely. I think he would come back, maybe as an ambassador or a director and sit upstairs, not do too much. Wouldn't have anything to do. I think Sheikh Sim wants Ten Hag to be the manager, so I don't think we would be bringing in Ollie again, thankfully. United till I die. Sir Alex papered over the cracks for Glazers without him. Look what's happened. Absolutely, we won trophies because he papered over the cracks. He kept things ticking over. That's a very good point as well. Rosat says Goretzka over Levea. Look at this midfield: Casemiro, Goretzka, Bruno. It would be brilliant. I think the big concern with Goretzka probably is his injury record, but he is a brilliant player. Make no mistake about it. Ravsky says, why is no one talking about signing Kvaratskhelia? I think just the price of it would be too much. As well, I don't know if he will leave Napoli this season. Eugene is saying as well, United should sign Hojlund. I think Hojlund would be brilliant. I think it all depends on price. Atalanta looking like 100 million. I think that's too much for him. I think if we can knock the price down, send them Amad Diallo on loan for a season, that's a smart deal, I think. Who else have we got as well? Rosat says he's worse than Hojlund. Sorry, he's worse than Haaland. Crap, not much IQ. Is that Hojlund or Rashford we're talking about? Das is saying raise Napoli. Rating Napoli is an expensive deal, man, because Khalidi Koulibaly was one of the top defenders in Europe for a while, and they basically kept him there because they asked so much money that nobody would pay it, and then he left whenever he was past his best. So I would expect to see the likes of Osimhen leave pretty soon. They will not sign new deals at Napoli. Who else have we got down there? Irfan saying only Man City and Real Madrid and Munich go on the transfer market and get world-class players. And Owusu says, I would love to see Greenwood back. Thank you very much for those comments. I think Greenwood coming back, we're talking potential. Will be interesting to see what happens with this investigation. That's the big thing here. If United do find him clear and do think he can return, I think he will come back, and I think they would probably have him back. I think a lot of it will depend on what happens what happens long term with sponsorships. If the sponsors are very against Greenwood coming back, I don't think they will bring him back. I think United will think money wise with this, as always. United Till I Die says, I think a lot of United fans need to understand we do not have the money to throw at the moment. Since we owe money to clubs, we have a very limited pool of money. We need to work and adhere to financial fair play. Unfortunately, yes, I do agree with that. I would love us to spend £1 billion this summer. It will not happen, unfortunately, but we will see what we can do. Hopefully sales will boost that. And Big T says, Glazers were not all bad. They gave us Vidic. I mean, Glazers are all bad, man. Yeah, Vidic, I will give you Evra. But I mean, we didn't really sign those guys for a lot of money. The Glazers probably looked and said, this is a guy coming from Spartak Moscow for like 5 million. Okay, you can have him. They probably thought that was a great deal. It worked out because Vidic was brilliant for us, absolutely. Rajada says, Hojlund and Greenwood up top is going to be cool. Best for all is to let Greenwood go on loan. Thank you very much for that. That's a potential. That is something that could happen. Was spoken about by Laurie Whitwell, like United could look to loan Mason Greenwood out to Italy or to Turkey for a season, let everything basically just blow over and try to bring him back. Daz says, were all charges dropped against Greenwood? I think they were. I think CPS did not find sufficient evidence because of withdrawal of a key witness. So basically, either his girlfriend, whatever, or her dad, whoever it was, had made the accusations, basically withdrew their statements. Now, I think what's key to think here is that Greenwood was never found guilty and never found innocent. The charges were dropped. So he is kind of in a limbo. I think a lot of it depends on what will happen with sponsorships, how the women's team will react, for instance, if United's players want him back, and whether Ten Hag wants him back. I think there's a lot of things to consider, and it will be interesting to see what happens. Ravsky says bringing Greenwood back would be bad PR. Just imagine the fans shouting names. United tell die, ladies team won't enjoy Greenwood, so it will cause issues. Potentially it could do. Potentially we will see what happens on that one. Lucky's down there saying Stefan glad now all is exposing Joel and Avram Glazer in the last 8 years. And our fan says breaking the Glazers are Liverpool fans. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, man. I would not be surprised. I do think those guys have actively acted against us for the longest time, and it's unfortunate. Like I really hope that it will be over soon. This has been a nightmare for 18 years for this football club, and once they're gone, I think we will be in a better position for sure. Ambitious owners, good directors, bringing in the best players who will work, and the money being spent on the team and the money United spend will not be on debt, will not be on dividends. It will be on players. It will be trying to be the best team in the world again. That's what I want us to get back to. That's what I think we are getting back to if we get new owners in. Hopefully. That has to be the big hope for Manchester United. Any more thoughts, guys? Get them down below as well. We are very close to hitting 1,000 subscribers as well, guys. Less than 25 to go. So if anybody would like to join in with the community on the channel, please consider hitting that sub button. Really helps the channel grow and helps me out as well. And love bringing you guys all this content. We are live pretty much every day for summer, so plenty of stuff coming up for you guys to enjoy. So who else is down there as well? United Tie says we've had a few articles have come out stipulating the women's team would have issues with him coming back. Could be, that's a good point. That's very interesting, man. I think it's something to consider for sure. Ten Hag is willing to sanction a year-long loan for Diallo in return to Atalanta as a deal maker in negotiations for Rasmus Hojlund, according to Stephen Bates. Yes, that would be a good decision in my opinion. I think getting a guy in, getting Amad on loan basically would mean he has lots of football and it would help him develop as a player. We can bring him back and we get Hojlund for cheaper. I think that's a win-win for United, absolutely. Who else have we got as well? Lucky Singh says Sky Sports from January have been talking about Avram Glazer. Yes, I'm glad they have. Finally, we're seeing more exposure on this. I think Sky Cava has been very good in bringing it up often about the Glazers, what they've done to the club. So I'm glad with that. As well as that, Daz is saying Jasim won't be happy Russo is leaving. He wants the women to be the best team as well. Absolutely, he will want. I think they will want the best for every team, be it the under 12s, be it the women's team, the under 18s, under 21s, whatever, first team, they will want United to be the best, absolutely, all across the board. And that's what we need to be, ambitious as a club as well. Ronnie says if Greenwood stays, then we need one striker. We'll go for a top centre half and a midfielder. I do think so as well. Top centre back, yes, definitely. Maguire probably leaving, potentially Lindelof as well. Varane, we know, will be injured at some point next season. We can guarantee that already. So we need that depth in the team. We do need options in this squad for sure. Ravsky says as well, can Jasim just get fed up and buy one of the rival clubs? I mean, he probably is fed up, but I think a lot of those clubs will not be selling. Todd Bowley's just bought Chelsea. Liverpool were took off the market for sale by FSG. Kroenke has bought Arsenal in the last couple of seasons. City's owners will not sell them either. The Saudis will not sell to Qatar. That won't happen. So I think all things considered, he probably is looking United. That's what he wants, absolutely. OC says, by Tuesday we must know the new owners and start buying. I would love to know by Tuesday, absolutely. I would love to know in 5 minutes time. I think that would be ideal, but we know what the Glazers are like. They drag things on because they know it wears the emotion out of it, it wears the momentum out of it, and then they work on it on their terms. That's something they've always done, absolutely. So I would expect them to keep on going with this, drag it out for as long as possible. Rajat says give them Facundo as well. Do Qatar want to build a hotel? I mean, they do. They have plenty of hotels in London and all, so maybe they will try to invest in Manchester. That is something that could happen. We know the Saudis want to invest in Newcastle, make it more upmarket, have some designer shops and stuff, build some nice hotels. So maybe they will do, the Qataris will do the same in Manchester. As well, Lucky Singh says FSG not for sale now, absolutely. And Rajat says United could be bought by January. Man, that's a horrible thought. If it doesn't happen this year, I mean, if it doesn't happen by October, it's been a year long process. So I'm sure you guys are as fed up with it as what I am. I'm sure Sheikh Jassim, I'm sure Radcliffe is fed up with it. But the Glazers, they keep doing what they're doing. They keep on making the money. That's what they've always done, and that's what they will always do. Try to milk every last penny out of this football club that they can do. So with that in mind, guys, I'm going to leave the stream here. My voice is going once again. So thank you very much for watching. If anyone does want to support the channel, please consider hitting that sub button as well. And check out the Discord. The link is in the bio for that. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I will see everyone tomorrow as well, same time, 7:45. See you guys then.